Hello, my name is Jiso, and I'm reading Master Dōgen's Shōbōgenzō. And we are on chapter 56, Senmen, Washing the Face. Paragraph 132. Washing the face has been transmitted from India in the west, and it has spread through China in the east. Though the method is clarified in various collections of the precepts, that which is transmitted and retained by the Buddhist patriarchs may still be more authentic and traditional. Not only has it been practiced by Buddhas and by patriarchs for hundreds of years, it is spread throughout kotis of thousand myriad kalpas of the past and future. Not only is it to get rid of grime and grease, it is the lifeblood of the Buddhist patriarchs. Sutras say that without washing the face, it is wrong both to receive a prostration and to make a prostration to others. I prostrate myself and prostrate to him, subject of prostration and object of prostration, one nature empty and serene. The nature is to get free. Footnote, Master Dōgen's records of his years in China. The Master Tendo once summoned me and preached, although you are a recent student, you possess in abundance the air of the ancients. You should just live in a secluded valley deep in the mountains and nurture the sacred womb of the Buddhist patriarchs. You will definitely arrive at the state experienced by the ancient masters. Then Dōgen rose and made a prostration under the master's foot. The master called out, subject of prostration and object of prostration have a nature empty and serene. The empathy between us is difficult to think about. Then the master widely preached the action of the Buddhist patriarchs of the western heavens and eastern lands. Dōgen's tears of gratitude made his collar wet. And empathy is kanodoku, or empathetic communication of the truth. The term is discussed in chapter 39, Shinjin Gakudo. I did not remember that. Anyway. Therefore, we must unfailingly wash the face. As regards a time for washing the face, in some cases the fifth night watch and in some cases dawn are the times. Fifth night watch is the last watch before dawn. When my late master was master of Tendo Temple, he established the third period of the third watch as the time. Carry skirt and jacket with you to the washstand. The hand towel is a sheet of cloth with a length of 1 jo and 2 shaku. I love it. 1 jo and 2 shaku. 1 jo is about 9.94 feet. Or 10 shaku. So the length of the towel is almost 12 feet, 11.93 feet. It's an enormous towel. Its colour must not be white. White is prohibited. The Sutra of 3,000 Dignified Forms says there are 5 points to observe in using the hand towel. 1. Use the top and bottom ends for wiping. 2. Use one end for wiping the hands and the other end for wiping the face. 3. Do not wipe the nose with it. 4. Wash the hand towel at once after it has been used to wipe grease or dirt. 5. Do not use it to wipe the body. When taking a bath, each person should have their own towel. It's a hand towel, which is why you shouldn't use it for your body. When carrying the hand towel, hold it as follows. Fold the hand towel in two and hang it over the left forearm near the elbow. Hang the hand towel, half the hand towel is for wiping the face and half for wiping the hands. Not to wipe the nose means not to wipe the inside of the nose or nasal mucus. Do not use the hand towel to wipe the armpits, the back, the belly, the navel, the thighs, or the lower legs. When it becomes soiled with dirt and grease, wash it. When it becomes wet or damp, dry it by a fire or in the sun. Do not use the hand towel when taking a bath. The Cloud Hall washroom is the rear wash stand. Cloud hall is the Zazen hall. The Cloud hall washroom is the rear washstand, and the rear washstand is located to the west of the illuminated hall. A senior monk would use this area for instructing other monks. Right. This is the building layout which has been transmitted to us. For huts in the temple grounds and single quarters, a washstand is built at a convenient place. An abbot washes the face in the abbot's quarters. Washstands are suitably provided at the residences of aged monks and retired veteran monks. While lodging in the Cloud hall, an abbot will wash at the rear washstand. When you arrive at the washstand, hang the centre of the hand towel around the back of your neck and pull the two ends forward over the left and right shoulders. Then with left and right hands, bring the left and right ends of the hand towel under the left and right armpit and around to the back. Cross the two ends over behind your back and then bring the left end across to your right and the right end across to your left and tie them together in front of your chest. Thus, the collar of the jacket is covered by the hand towel. That is clever. And the sleeves are tucked up above the elbows by the hand towel. Below the elbows, the forearms and hands are exposed. For example, it is like having the sleeves tucked up by a tasuki sash. Whereas the longer hand towel is knotted in front of the chest, a tasuki is knotted behind the back. The tasuki method would have been more familiar to Japanese at Mr. Dōgen's time and is still used in Japan today. After that, if in the rear washstand, take a wash bowl to the cauldron, get a bowl full of hot water, then come back and place it on the washstand. If somewhere else, put hot water from a hot water tub into the wash bowl. I love this detail about learning to wash. It's amazing. Again, you can just see some 14-year-old farm boys coming in and being told how to wash their faces for the first time. Actually, now I think about it, I can think of some school kids that sort of learn to wash their faces for the first time. Anyway, moving on. Next, use the willow twig. There had to be a willow twig. In the mountain temples of the great kingdom of Sung, today the practice of chewing the willow twig, having long since died out, is not transmitted, and so they have no places for chewing the willow twig. But today at Eiheiji Temple on Kichijozan Mountain, we have a place for chewing the willow twig. It is a new arrangement. On arriving there, the first thing we should do is chew the willow twig. Taking a willow twig in the right hand, make a dharani vow. The Pure Conduct chapter of the Garland Sutra says, taking the willow twig in the hand, pray that all living beings will get the right dharma in their mind and be naturally pure and clean. After reciting this sentence and before proceeding to chew the willow twig, recite as follows. Chewing the willow twig at dawn, pray that all living beings get conquering teeth to chew up troubles. Wow. After reciting this sentence, chew the willow twig. The length of the willow twig is the width of 4 fingers, or 8 fingers, or 12 fingers, or of 16 fingers. Precepts of the Great Sangha, Article 34, say, use a twig for the teeth of suitable size, 16 fingers at the longest, and 4 fingers at the shortest. The Great Sangha Makasogi Ritsu. It's also quoted in chapter 7. Remember, the twig should not be made shorter than 4 fingers and longer than 16 fingers is not a suitable size. The thickness is the thickness of the little finger. At the same time, there is nothing to prevent the twig being thinner. The shape is the shape of the little finger. One end is thick, the other end is thin. The thicker end is chewed into fine fibres. The Sutra of 3000 Dignified Forms says the chewed end must not exceed 3 bu. 3 bu is 0.36 inches. Chew the twig thoroughly and then rub and wash the front of the teeth and the back of the teeth, as if polishing them. Rub and polish, and wash and rinse again and again. Thoroughly polish and wash the base of the teeth above the gums. Carefully scrape clean the gaps between the teeth and wash them clean. If the mouth is rinsed out repeatedly, the teeth will be rinsed clean. Next, scrape the tongue. The Sutra of 3,000 Dignified Forms says, there are 5 points in scraping the tongue. Crumbs. 1. Do no more than 3 sets. 2. Stop if blood appears on the surface of the tongue. That's always good advice. 3. Do not dirty the samgati robe or the feet by waving the hand too far. 4. Do not throw away the willow twig on a path where people walk. And 5. Always be in a secluded place. 3 sets of scraping the tongue means that we rinse the mouth with water, then scrape and scrape the tongue, and repeat this 3 times. It does not mean that we only do 3 scrapes. Heed the warning to stop if blood appears. Concerning the need to scrape the tongue thoroughly, the Sutra of 3,000 Dignified Forms says, cleansing the mouth means chewing the willow twig, rinsing out the mouth and scraping the tongue. Thus, the willow twig has been guarded and retained by Buddhist patriarchs and by the children and grandchildren of Buddhist patriarchs. I'm going to have to get myself a willow twig. The Buddha was living at Venuvana Park in Rajugraha. Literally the bamboo wood and Rajugraha, the capital of the kingdom of Magda. Very nice. The Buddha was living at Venuvana Park at Rajugraha together with 1,250 bhiksus. It was the 1st of December, on which the king Prasenajit was preparing a meal. Bright and early in the morning, with his own hand, he offered the Buddha a willow twig. The Buddha accepted it, and when he had finished chewing it, he threw what remained on the ground. It at once started to grow. With roots and shoots springing forth in profusion and twigs and leaves spreading like a cloud, it rose to a height of 500 yojanas. Its circumference was of the same order. By and by it produced flowers too, each as big as a carriage wheel. Finally it also bore fruits, each the size of a 5-gallon jar. The roots, branches, twigs and leaves were solely of the 7 treasures, whose assorted colours shone with extraordinary beauty. Brightness emanating from the colours eclipsed the sun and moon. To the taste, the fruit was more delicious than nectar. The fragrance filled the 4 quarters, and all who sensed it felt glad in their hearts. A fragrant breeze came blowing, whereupon, pushing and prodding each other, the twigs and leaves all gave out a melodious sound, which unfurled the pivot of Dharma and which listeners never grew tired of hearing. The reverence and belief of all people who witnessed this transformation of the tree grew more and more pure and deep. The Buddha thereupon preached the Dharma, and their minds, receptive to his intention, were all enlightened. Those pursuing the state of Buddha attained the effect and were born in heaven. Their numbers were very great. Okay. The method of serving offerings to the Buddha and to the Sangha is, of necessity, to offer a willow twig at dawn. After that, various other offerings are prepared. There are many examples of willow twigs being offered to the Buddha, and many examples of the Buddha using the willow twig. But for now, I shall just quote the story of King Prasenajit offering the willow twig with his own hand, and the story of the tall tree, because they deserve to be known. It was also on this day that the 6 non-Buddhist teachers, we keep hearing about them, don't we? They have long names. A skeptic, a materialist, a fatalist, a negator of moral virtue, a moral relativist, a sensualist and the founder of Jainism. Sorry, the negator of moral virtue and a moral relativist, the same guy. They have many names. Sorry, I'm lost now. It was also on this day that the 6 non-Buddhist teachers were each defeated by the Buddha. They ran away in astonishment and awe, and finally each of the 6 teachers threw himself into a river to drown. 9 kotis of followers of the 6 teachers all came seeking to be disciples of the Buddha. The Buddha said, "Welcome, bhikshus," and their beards and hair fell away naturally. The Dharma robe covered their bodies, and they all became Shramanas. The Buddha preached to them the Dharma and demonstrated the pivot of the Dharma. They ended the superfluous, dissolved all bonds, and attained arhathood. Thus, because the Tathagata was already in the habit of using the willow twig, human beings and gods offered the willow twig to him. Clearly, chewing the willow twig is a practice which Buddhas, bodhisattvas, and the Buddha's disciples unfailingly retain. If we fail to practice it, the method will be lost. Would that not be regrettable? I'll let you answer that question. Thanks for listening. Take care. Stop scraping your tongue if it bleeds.